Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If today somebody was to come to you and try to ask about the bipartisan talks which are actually happening at the Bomas of Kenya, what could you say about those bipartisan talks? Or if a person asks you, what is the talks at Bomas of Kenya trying to achieve? What could you say about that? Or if somebody could give you in a different, ask you in a different fashion that what is the end game of the bipartisan talks in the Bomas of Kenya? What could you tell that person? That is the big elephant in the room. So we are going to have a candid discussion about Bomas of Kenya. But before we dive in and try to dissect about the Bomas of Kenya, I could request you kindly to take a minute or two and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give this video a like, share the video to your friends, and if your friends are lovers of politics, then request them to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And for those ones who have subscribed to our YouTube channel, we say thank you. May God bless you abundantly because you always give us the inspiration to continue coming up with this kind of political content. And whenever you subscribe to our YouTube channel, always make sure to smash the bell button, because by smashing the bell button, you give YouTube an okay to notify you whenever we upload any political content into YouTube. Now let us go back to the discussion of the day about the bipartisan talks which are actually happening at the Bomas of Kenya. These bipartisan talks actually started when we had demonstrations across the country, when Raila Amolo Odinga said that he does not recognize William Samoei Ruto government, that he needed an audit to be done to IEBC servers so that they can show out who really won the 2022 presidential election. And another thing that these bipartisan talks were put together to do is to talk about the cost of living. But no sooner the start of the bipartisan talks, very many people wanted to face the bipartisan talks. And because of that, we have created a big monster, which is called the Bomas of Kenya bipartisan talks, which actually cannot be handled by the Republic of Kenya. Because if you look currently what's happening at the Bomas of Kenya, it is as if they are correcting views from the public on what should be done. And that is why many people are confused. What is these Bomas of Kenya bipartisan talks? Are these talks going to achieve why they were put there? Because very many people thought that the talks at Bomas of Kenya was actually going to look at IEBC and do what we call restructuring so that we can have the Electoral Commission which is going to foresee the coming 2027 presidential election. And also, we thought that these talks was going to talk about how to lower the cost of living. But it seems that the cost of living is something which is minute in the bipartisan talk. And even the interest is not really on talking about how we can lower the cost of living. Because if you see currently what people are talking about the Bomas of Kenya, it seems that it has metamorphosized. And now we are talking about the constitutional amendment. We are talking about another BBI. And we are trying to push BBI to the bipartisan talk or talks. And I am very sure what we are doing is like coming with a bus and you are trying to put that bus to be parked inside a car garage. And it is definitely that that bus cannot enter into the car garage. That is actually what we are doing at the Bomas of Kenya. Because we have gone to the Bomas of Kenya and now we are talking about creation of the Prime Minister office. We are talking about the creation of two Prime Minister assistants. We are talking about creating the office of the leader of opposition. We are talking about making the prime secretary to be constitutional. And because of that, that's why we have created something too big to be handled by the bipartisan talks. And that's why these bipartisan talks are going to end up nowhere. Because we cannot amend our constitution and create those big institutions like the Prime Minister office, like the leader of opposition, without actually changing the structure of the current constitution. Remember, the current constitution is purely presidential structure. We cannot bring the prime or the prime minister office to that. It is either we accept to go parliamentary way or we accept to go what we call presidential way. That's when we can make a sense. But do we have a constitutional moment to do all that? We don't have the constitutional moment currently. And the capacity of bipartisan talks is too small to handle or to do what it's doing. It cannot. And that's why if I was to be given an opportunity to advise the bipartisan talks, I could go there and I could tell Kimani Ichung'wah and Kalonzo Musyoka that they should fold the mattress and head home straight, because those talks are heading nowhere. That is merely a waste of time, because I don't think Kenyans are ready to change the constitution. Kenyans are not ready for those talks. What Kenyans need is the government to provide, the government to make sure it lowers the cost of living. And actually, even the time we have until we reach 2027, it's quite so small for us to engage again in the bipartisan or the BBI nonsense. Kenyans are not ready for that. And if I was to advise Raila Amolo Odinga, he should stick in the reformation or the reforming of IEBC. And once he's able to do that, then he should be justified. But before we have made these bipartisan talks to be quite big, then we have lost everything. And Raila Amolo Odinga has lost everything. He is going to be taken for a ride and is going to be shocked when those bipartisan talks could not bring out anything. I don't know what's your take, my fellow listeners. Do you think we are going to come up with anything productive from the bipartisan talks, the way things are going? Are we opening another BBI? What is your take? Because my opinion, these talks are a waste of time. These talks have now been geared as if we are going to have another BBI. So what are your really comment about this? Please drop it in the message section below. And if this is your first time to pump into this YouTube channel, I request you kindly to take a minute or two and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give this video thumbs up. Share the video to your friends. And if your friends are lovers of politics, then request them to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And for those ones who have subscribed to this YouTube channel, I say thank you. May God bless you abundantly because you always give us the inspiration to continue coming up with this kind of political content. And whenever you subscribe to our YouTube channel, always remember to hit the notification bell because that is the only way you give YouTube permission to notify you whenever we upload any political content into YouTube. And with that, I say thank you. May God bless you abundantly until we meet in our next political discussion.